Hi guys, if it's Friday, it's Dan and Dirty Woodscraft. Stay with me. Okay, today guys, what we're going to talk about is a little learning technique. Recently I was talking to someone and they were saying that they are city bound and that they don't get that much woods time, not nearly as much as they want. They still want to practice on their skills a little bit. So what's a way that they can do that? Well, I tell you, take a lesson from the guys across the pond in the UK and a lot of the European countries where they do not have the woods that we have, that we're blessed with here in America, to be able to get out and have large tracts of wood to roam. And so they have to do everything in kind of small enclosed spaces. And what a lot of the people call, woods is we call a growed up area on the edge of a farm, It's very small and very kind of focused. And what this does is they have to focus on the skills, like the knife skills, the knot skills and things like that, because they don't have a lot of woods to roam in. So they have to kind of be focused in a small area, right? And so what they do is they focus on knife skills, rope skills, weaving, carving, etc. And so you guys that are in the big cities can do much the same thing. You just need a couple little things to begin with. One is you need some place to actually practice. Now this can be at a kitchen table, in a kitchen floor. Put out a tarp to be able to catch the shavings and stuff like that and keep from making a big mess. You're going to need some sort of anvil, something, a big cutting board from the store or something you pick up at a thrift store will work. In this case, I'm going to use this hunk of log sliced off. Now on here I can practice cuts and things like that. Now, as far as knife, you probably already got your bushcraft knife, but you may also want to practice with a pocket knife. Now this is something that I have not talked about in a little while, but the various pocket knives can be used as, your basic carving bushcraft. Now in fact that was very true in the past, where Nesmunk and things like that used his pocket knife for all the detail work. He had a 2-blade pocket knife. And then he had the double-bit hatchet and then the belt knife that was used for heavy tasks. So, like one of the small classic Boy Scout pocket knives that goes back over a century now, you can utilize that for practice. Now understand, this is a slip joint. There's no lock. So if you bump backwards on it, it's going to want to close. So you have to be very careful with it. A better choice is something that has a lock on it, like this Buck 110 that locks very secure, and that's going to stay locked in position. It becomes a fixed blade knife when it goes click. Now I don't want to be batoning on any kind of pocket knife. Okay, they're not designed for that. They can't take that. You'll break them easily. What we're doing here is about control and about how to do various tasks. And we're going to start out with something super simple. I told the guy, I said, look, you got Chinese takeout, right? Oh yeah, I eat it a couple times a week. Get chopsticks. Plain old chopsticks. They're just a real soft piece of wood. So I snap these apart. And now take that, put it on the log, and practice making a feather stick. It's bamboo. It's not going to be the easiest in the world because it's bamboo, but you learn to control very carefully how deep you go and how you roll up a curl like that. So just start practicing on it. I've taught this technique several times to people that had little or no experience. I started with a chopstick and teach them to control it and start pushing away, how to do it, how to roll up a curl, etc. And it can be done fairly easy. It's also easy to skip out, and that's the thing. You're learning about control. You're learning about how to hold it, the angle that you're going to be at, and in the learning curve where you're training muscle memory, you're going to have a lot of mistakes. This anvil keeps me from accidentally chopping up a kitchen table or something like that. So just something simple like this. And being able to pull like this butt 110 I got and create feather sticks. See how much you can get out of one. Bamboo is not a great choice. That part of the thing. It also teaches you, because it is a little more difficult. And whenever we find, I said even you guys in cities can find a limb in parts, something after a storm that's got knocked down, something like this. This is a piece of cedar. Try taking it and then doing that. You want to pick a skill set that you want to practice on. For example, feather sticks. And after you get feather sticks fairly good, where you can do it fairly cleanly. Okay, now I've taken this cedar stick that I got off of a tree, it broke off, and I'm going to put it on my anvil, and I'm going to push away from me in nice, long, lean pushes. See how it wants to grab every so often? I'm learning that. I'm learning how to bear down, when not to bear down. The angle, can I do it real slow, like that, until I get that flat made up where I can slide it a little easier. Only at the end do I lift up, just like this. And I quickly make a fuzzy stick. I can make feather sticks. You'll learn how to feel the wood. You'll learn how to feel how it bites into it. Now this is a green piece right here. So I'm going to start out and I'm going to make a fuzzy stick. Fuzzy sticks are not as pretty as feather sticks, but to me they're more practical in many ways, and it's just where I'm trying to get a lot of surface area to catch a flame. Go 360 around and just beaver chew it like that. Don't take any time. You can do the same thing with a chopstick, practicing on it, or some other piece of wood. Whatever kind of knife that you have available to you, be it a slip joint like this Granddaddy Barlow, an old Boy Scout type like this, or a semi-custom like this, or an old 3-blade Stockman like this one I carried on my belt for nearly 25 years, right there. All of these knives can be utilized and should be utilized in the field. They do the detail work. But the important thing is not the knife, it's this, the hand. What was that riddle of steel in Conan the Barbarian? When he says, you know, he asks Thulsa-Doom, and Thulsa-Doom says, steel isn't strong, flesh is stronger. What is the steel compared to the hand that wields it? See, you need the ability here to make that perform. And that comes with dirt time and little projects like this. Now everybody's heard of Morris Chancey's tri-stick. That is a classic way to train knife skills. But not just for your big belt knife. You need to also make one with a pocket knife, because this is going to be your small blade, your small precision work, right? So you should be able to do a tri-stick with that, and with just a cutting board you pick up at a Goodwill somewhere for cheap, a piece of a tarp or an old sheet that don't matter to catch the scraps, put it on the coffee table, put it in the middle of the floor, put it wherever you feel comfortable, and sit there and practice your knife skills until it becomes something you can do without even thinking about it. Doing this, you're going to pick which knife that your hand just works with best doing these skills. Even though you spent big money for that and everybody said this was the greatest knife, it may not fit that hand as well as you wanted it to. Hand-eye coordination. I'll tell you, like my grandfather told me, I was trying to learn to whittle with my grandfather, and he would sit there and say, he'd have a little small block of sugar pine or something, and he'd say, here, carve that into a dog shape, little terrier. And he'd take his and he'd sit there and carve it, and he'd sit it down for me to look at, me to try to copy it, to make it. We made a chess set one time, piece by piece, over a period of weeks, doing each piece independently. And it was look at it and figure out how it was shaped. Well, how do you make that cut? How do you do this? And of course mine didn't look anything like it. And I was a little disappointed with that. But he said, well, son, it's like this. Your brain knows what it wants to make, but your hand don't know how to do it yet. What he was talking about was muscle memory. The control of the hand to work the blade is the whole thing. So you have to practice that. There is no magic button. There is no knife that will give you that. If you don't have the hand skill, you've got to earn it. And that requires practice. And we can't always get to the woods every weekend to try it out. So having a block of wood or an old cutting board, having that stick you picked up after the storm, and a couple other things you gather. Possum mentality, if you see it, pick it up. If nothing else, being able to just save those chopsticks that you get in the Chinese takeout and utilize them to practice some skills with. That's the way to get good with these knives. Because when you can do it with a little bitty pocket knife, and you got to remember, these Boy Scout knives were used for over 100 years for a reason. They were good at carving tasks, and they wanted the Boy Scouts to learn to carve. So if this was the choice for children to learn how to carve, this ain't a bad choice. Just remember, it's a slip joint. It will close up on your hand if you do something wrong. So you got to be prepared for that, okay? You could either wear a glove, or you could do like I was taught to do and wedge your finger right there at that base, so that if it even starts to move, you feel it. So it's not going to just snap close on your hand. You grip that right there where the blade joins the handle tightly, so that you know exactly, and it gives you good control that way. But like my Granddaddy Barlow that my granddaddy carried in the top of his overalls, that's the same size of one of the Moore knives. And with a good stiff spring like this Rough Rider's got, it does lock fairly secure, and it's got a halfway. So it would catch if you got bumped. But don't, trust, but verify. A locking blade, even better. That way I don't have to worry about it closing up on my hand. But a lot of times the lock blade designs are not that good a design for carving. Okay? And then of course, the classic little pocket knife. This is a 3-blade Stockman that I've had for 35 years, 40 years, probably more than that. There's so many things I can do with this knife because I practiced with it. It was simple things like when you're waiting on the laundry and you've got an hour to kill and you don't have anything else to do, instead of taking the phone and doing this, take 30 minutes. So here's my challenge to you. Set yourself up to do some knife skills like this. In at least 30 minutes a week, you practice your knife skills. Do it all at once. Do it 10 minutes. Whatever it is convenient to you in your life. But do 30 minutes a week. That's 2 hours a month. And that's double that, 24 hours in a year. How much more will you know in a year if you just did 30 minutes a day of practice? Same thing with, I've mentioned in the past about reading. If you're interested in a topic, get the book on it, and at least every day read 30 minutes on it. You'll have hundreds of hours of knowledge at the end of the year of so many subjects if you just do 30 minutes here and 30 minutes there, and it adds up. This adds up as well. And this is the way to learn knife skill, is to do it. Hope this helps you guys. Please leave any questions or comments down below and I'll be happy to answer them. This being Friday, I'm on my way to I should be arriving at Georgia Bushcraft about lunch today, and I'll be at Georgia this weekend. I'll let you know how it went, and hopefully I'll have a few little pictures to show you when I get back on Monday. Till next time, guys, I'm Blackie, wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.